Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 7th episode of Beaker and Wrench Minicast. I'm Ace, co-founder and CEO of Beaker and Wrench. Today we have Don Romero, AKA Distillate Don, from Pharmers Quality Concentrates, located in New Mexico, as our guest. Thanks for joining us.
How's it going? Nice to be here.
Don, to start things off, tell us a bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Did you always live in New Mexico?
So I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and I came out here when I was about 11, 12 years old. So I was born in Chicago, but raised in New Mexico. And yeah, I've been here ever since.
Very nice. And New Mexico's been treating you well?
Yeah, for the most part, definitely on the cannabis side of things.
Nice. So what was your first experience with cannabis?
So my first experience with cannabis was at a young child. I was one of those knuckleheads that, smoked pot in middle school. So yeah, right around that, 11, 12-year-old range there. And I was an ADHD kid. I was a spaz, troublemaker, fighter. And cannabis, the second I tried cannabis, it was, love at first hit, you know what I mean? And it changed my energy, and it changed my focus, and it allowed me to gain traction at such a young age. And whatever chemical imbalance I had, cannabis was the key for it. And I found that out super early. And yeah, without it, I'd probably be dead or in jail by now.
Dang, so it really helped your life.
I think so, and it's kind of been one of the reasons I pursued it so heavily as a career.
Yeah. So speaking of the career, how did you get into it as an industry rather than just as a user?
So, we started with smoking flower just like anybody else. And I was introduced to hash just, a couple years after I had started smoking. So still a kid. And I was introduced to just classic bubble hash, everybody's probably first hash, the dark brown, sticky tar. And, oh man, it just, right away, it was so much better than flower, in my opinion. And the high and the feeling and the effects that I got from it were just amazing. And they worked incredibly good for what I was experiencing and the way I kind of wanted to feel. So I just, I kind of grew up at the age of the beginning of the internet. And so I just started hitting the internet, and, I quickly figured out how to make cash between the, small forums that were out there and stuff. And it just kind of sparked from there. I was always kind of a self-researching, I'd hear a word or whatever, and I'd go, type it in and, find out as much as I could on it. So yeah, the different forms of hash, I was self-taught, and I looked out there for what little information was on the net at the times, places like Skunk Farm Research, different stuff like that. And yeah, just one thing led to another through networking and whatnot. And next thing you know, I was doing it in my garage or in a shed in the backyard. And just through word of mouth, I just kind of met all the people in my community that were growing, that were, distributing, whatever, and, made a legacy name for myself in my area. I was the guy, if you wanted your stuff made to an oil at one time, you figured out a way to get a hold of me. And, Shatter popped off, and, BHO popped off. And I was one of the, few guys that knew how to do it. And, from there, Distillate was kind of stumbled upon, and same thing, I was researching, I had already made a ton of friends across the country. And yeah, we were some of the first guys to extract, now it's kind of known as the Good Life Gang.
Right.
But yeah, I've known a lot of those guys in that group for years and years and years, and thanks to a handful of really first pioneers and innovators of our industry, they shared the information they had. They weren't, people like Beaker. I don't know if you're familiar with him, rest in peace, but he put everything he was doing out there in the forums, and, he talked to people about it. And thanks to that original kind of shared information, it allowed me to be one of the first guys in, specifically in my region to even know how to extract.
Right. So how did you get the name Distillate Don from like going from like hash to now distillate?
So it was actually butane boss at one time, boss spelled like sauce. And that we were showing a lot on that social media, so it got taken down. It was one of the early ones. And then, I had done a bunch of distillation stuff, and I had started teaching people distillation. And yeah, one of my friends that I was working with was like, "Hey, how about Distillate Don?" And it just stuck. My name's Don. My birth name's Don. But it kind of, I'm originally from Chicago, so it kind of gave that kind of Godfather mafia feel. And I was known as a leader and kind of a big intimidating guy. So yeah, Distillate Don just stuck, and it's done well.
That's amazing. So like with all the business coming up in New Mexico, why like are you sticking with New Mexico? Like how has that treated you? And like what's like a unique challenge that you experienced there?
The most unique challenge most recently is going to be oversaturation. I came into the market during med times, so it was only medical, and it was, there was not much competition whatsoever. Now with rec passing, New Mexico's been extremely loose with licensing. So just like any of the other states and markets we've experienced that in, it's the oversaturation of products and brands has probably been the biggest hurdle as a cannabis business at this point. It just, prices have gone down and down and down, and we're experiencing what every mature market has experienced. Cali went through it, Colorado's went through it, Oklahoma went through it, Oregon went through it. It's simple supply and demand. So
Right.
if there's an oversupply, unless you have an over demand, it just, stuff changes, specifically price per gram. So the margins that we saw originally as a cannabis business were so much different than the margins that we see currently as a cannabis business. We're lucky that we put all of our money back into infrastructure. We didn't do any crazy spending. We're debt free. I'm investor free. It's just me and my wife. She left nursing to come work with me and run the company with me. But yeah, we've been really lucky that majority of the money we've made has gone directly back into the company and the different brands.
So reinvest in yourself. And like how do you differentiate yourself in such like a saturated market?
Well, when Pharmers first emerged, we were known as the highest quality stuff in the state. And we're still one of the highest quality brands in the state. There's definitely some competition out there, and there's some guys that make great stuff, shout out to them. But we're still looked at as one of the premium brands. And I think that is such a big deal. So many of these guys get into this game and they half-ass it. They don't truly put out a quality product. With Pharmers, any product you get with us is going to be quality. It's not only going to be in quality packaging, it's going to be a quality product. It's going to do what it says. It's going to work, and it's going to be an enjoyable experience. That allows us to price our product a little higher than, the bottom barrel stuff that's kind of crashing the market at this point. A lot of people choose the cheapest thing on the shelf. But once they've had bad experience after bad experience, they eventually go for the more premium product. They eventually hop shelves and try something, or maybe it's their birthday, you know what I mean? Or maybe it's Christmas, maybe they get it as a gift. Once they try our product and once they try the more premium products that are available out there, I truly think you win that customer. And they stop going for the bottom of the barrel because it's just a different experience. You can go to the gas station and get the cheapest liquor on the shelf, 99-cent shot or whatever, or you can go drink something like Johnny Walker Black Label or Blue Label or something. You can drink something that's more premium. I'm not a huge drinker, so that's the stuff I like. But
no, I can relate to that, like that market oversaturation, like just in the equipment market, right? Like selling vape foams, we like back in like 2018, 2019, everyone was just throwing them out as fast as possible. And the market, like it wasn't quite a price crash, right? Because like it's still like they're expensive equipment, but there was a saturation of demand and a lot of people went out of business. And I think we differentiated ourselves by putting out a quality product, standing behind it, supporting it. And that's why I think we're here rather than some of the other people in the game.
Well, and there's no, there's no denying it. Everybody knows Beaker and Wrench have, nice, expensive systems, but it's a different, some people choose to drive a Hyundai, other people choose to drive a Mercedes, and, they might do the same things. They might get you from point A to point B. Certain equipment might make oil, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, having something premium, having something of highest quality or higher quality, the user notices a difference. And a lot of times the consistency and outcome of the products being made, there's a huge difference. So, I think it's the same thing, when you're talking about anything, any industry. If you're selling dabs, if you're selling equipment, if you're selling cars, if you're selling clothes, there's always going to be that economy grade shopper. And then there's always going to be that person that goes for, the best on the shelf.
Yeah. And it makes a difference in their experience. I did want to ask, you have two other brands, Nero Hash and Underdog.
Yes, sir.
Why do you have three separate brands? Like
So it kind of goes with what we were just talking about. It kind of goes back to quality and kind of determining the different types of extracts. I noticed New Mexico was super behind, and not only New Mexico, the entire cannabis industry, the consumers are super behind understanding the different types of extracts and truly grasping, what live resin is next to trim run BHO shatter, or what's, distillate next to HTE live resin sauce. And so the different brands actually kind of came to fruition when the industry and our market started changing and prices started dropping. I didn't want to take Pharmers and race it to the bottom. Pharmers was meant to be premium, and truly from the beginning, if you asked any extractor, we prefer to just do live resin. Fresh frozen material is easier to run, and it truly just, in my opinion, creates a better end product. So Pharmers is all live resin and premium extracts now. Nero Hash is going to be our solventless side. So that's all going to be premium live rosin, live hash, live bubble hash. And then Underdog was created for a way for us to create an economy grade product with some of the lower tiered extract products. And for example, distillate, trim run, cured resin, cured BHO. So Underdog is all that, and it's offered at an extremely low price. At the same time, New Mexico, it has multiple meanings, but New Mexico, we're considered underdogs. We're one of the poorest states in the nation. So Underdog was fitting because, anybody that's grown up out here, none of us really grew up with silver spoons, and we've had to kind of fight and claw our way to the positions that we're in. So Underdog really embodies that. The other cool thing about it is not only is it an economy, less expensive brand, but a portion of proceeds from each unit sold actually go directly to local animal shelters and rescues. I'm a big animal person. I'm a big dog guy. I personally have 4 French bulldogs and goats and horses and different stuff, but I really believe in helping out the animals. Animal welfare is horrible. It's a huge problem in our country and across the world. And yeah, Underdog is a way that we can kind of add a little philanthropy, stuff we already did to a brand and kind of involve everybody that supports that brand.
Amazing. Like, how do you approach like the customer education, like telling people like, hey, like fresh frozen live rosin, this is the best stuff versus like, why would you recommend the solventless versus the economy product?
No, that's a great question, and I think it all comes down to training, to training and education. I'm formerly a consultant. You know, I worked as an extractor and I worked as a consultant for years. So teaching and talking to people and getting kind of jazzed up, pumped up about cannabis and nerding out has always been something I really enjoyed. So for us, it's easy. It's just connecting with the customer, the bud tender, or the client, and just going through our products and talking about our products, you know, piece by piece, and showing the different benefits, as well as the, you know, the reason we're different from other companies. And that's worked really well from us. It's just education.
Can you highlight some of like you have an audience here, like what is the benefit, the difference between the live rosin versus bubble hash versus distillate?
Well, personally, like I said, I'm very biased towards live products. I believe that live terpene profiles, flavonoid profiles, cannabinoids are different and more beneficial in a sense than something that's necessarily cured. I think you get a better effect, may it be entourage effect or, you know, whatever you want to call it. I think that preserving the essence of the plant from that harvest point, and not allowing that kind of oxidation and ripening of the material, allows you, in a sense, a different benefit, and of course a different experience, a more flavorful, a better experience, a less fatty, waxy experience. I think that has a lot to do with why live resin is sought after.
The essential oils, the terpenes.
Correct. And we kind of teach it like live organs. If you were going to do an organ transplant, you know, and you take the liver out of, you know, the person, and you put it on ice. You want to keep that cell tissue alive, so you freeze it, and you try to create, you know, as little to no degradation as possible. And the same thing with the cannabis plant. When we harvest it, we're immediately starting degradation. You know, it's immediately dying and changing. And I think that from those changes, you get different results from the extract that's made from those specimens.
Absolutely.
Not that cured resin is bad in any way, or you're not going to get medicinal results from it. Of course you will. I think it just really comes down to, for that person that's built a high tolerance, for that person that is looking for a little more receptor tingling. I think that the live specimens just provide more of that.
Like the distillate, it's like 99% cannabinoids, and that's the main effect. But I think we all agree that like the terpenes, those oils, they have something to them, and like we all want more research on like exactly what all of those things do and what the effects are, but we don't know. And also the flavor.
And it's all about personal preference. You know, I mean, I know a lot of you know, obviously my name's Distillate Don. You know, we make beautiful, clean, odorless, tasteless distillate. Like you said, high 90%. To this day, distillate will get me completely lost. I'll be stuck if I eat a little bit, or I really smoke and dab just some distillate. I still get fucked up. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I prefer a different high. So, you know, it's all about what makes you feel good. It's all about what floats your boat. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, you know, no offense to any of the distillate users out there, but yeah, there's other things, and there's other feelings and other effects you can gain from using cannabis. And I think that trying the different types of extracts and experimenting, trying edibles, trying live resin, trying rosin, I think you'll find each individual user will find what suits them best.
Amazing. So how, like, since you've had such a large growth, like how do you build a team? How do you keep your quality consistent while growing so quickly?
You have to find people that believe in what you're doing. That's the one thing, you know, they say in business, nobody's ever gonna care about your business as much as you do as the owner. You know, and the hardest thing to building a team and scaling up a business is gonna be just that, is dealing with the different personalities, finding company people, company men, company women that are going to care, that are just going to give a shit about what you're doing. I think it comes down to leadership. If you're a good leader, if you can lead a group of people to a task, you can get them to believe in your cause, in what you're trying to do. And if you can achieve that, if you can truly get people to believe in what you're doing, I think you get that much closer to getting them to care about it. Maybe not as much as you, but close to as much as you. And that's where kind of that company person comes into play, is they want to build their career, they want to grow with the company, and they, in a sense, have to believe in what that company's doing. They have to stand behind the product. You know, my wife always talks about, you know, working for AOL as one of her old jobs when she was real young. And she felt horrible because she was getting these, you know, old people to like sign up for, you know, the AOL subscriptions that they didn't need, that they didn't use. And, you know, they would be telling her that they were on a fixed income, and she was being told, sell, sell, sell. Who cares? You know, basically go around and get them to sign up. And she felt like shit. You know what I mean? She said it was a dirty job, and she just felt like she didn't stand behind what she was doing. I think being the opposite of that and having a company where you're doing some sort of good, you're making a product that's actually good, you have a cause, you're fighting towards something that makes the world a better place. I think that makes all the difference in finding the right people to stand behind it with you.
So like having a goal, like something positive for the world to offer, and then finding people that are interested in participating in that goal.
100%. And for us, it's making good products. You know, it's not required, but most of my employees are, you know, cannabinoid users themselves, and they believe in, they not only use the products they make, but they believe in them. They know they're clean. They know that, you know, you can eat off the floor in my facility anywhere you walk, any time of day, no matter if it's right in the middle of production. We're that clean. These guys know that, you know. We've tried to always pay a fair wage. We've tried to always offer, you know, little creature comforts and benefits to our employees. At the end of the day, we're a team. And the guy making the labels is just important as the guy making the dabs, to the one that is going dispensary selling the product. And I think that understanding that and understanding how teams work is a huge thing, a huge positive at Pharmers. Is we, you know, I come from football background. You know, I played football and then went into construction management and different things. And so working with a team, leading a team, managing a team has always been easy for me. I've always been a leader. I was captain on the football team. I've always made leadership, supervisor, management positions at any company I've ever worked for. So I think that has also helped us extremely well. And, you know, is the management background. Sorry to get off on a tangent.
No, that's what we're here for, is to like hear all about it. Because like my next question is like, are there any mistakes you learned from like going through this process?
Oh man, I've learned all the mistakes. I'd like to say, I don't knock on wood, I've learned all the mistakes. But I think some of the biggest mistakes that new business owner makes is believing, like we said before, that everybody cares about what you're trying to do. The second big mistake I think people make is thinking things are common sense. There's no such thing as common sense. Common sense is being able to swim as a baby when they throw you in the water. Everything else is taught to us. If you think about it, everything else is taught or learned. Nothing is necessarily common except for our simple, you know, survival instincts to breathe and, you know, to hold our breath underwater. You know, other than that, you know, there's no common sense. And if you look at the world that way, and you look at training and, you know, teaching that way, you won't be mad when somebody doesn't understand something or doesn't get something. You'll just find a new way to present it to them. So that's been a huge lesson, is thinking everybody understands everything, and then you walk away and they definitely didn't understand. And, you know, and then the other biggest lesson I think I've learned as a business owner is trust, is trusting the wrong people. Going after every, flashing light, that every opportunity that came in front of me. I think knowing when to say no and having the ability and power and confidence to say no in life is extremely beneficial. And I think that comes down to just, you get going in something, realistic trust starts developing. You're like, oh, I'm doing great. Everybody loves and supports me, and nobody's gonna try to, come after me or do me wrong. And that's not true. Everybody loves and supports you as long as you're not doing better than them. And the second you're doing better than them, that's when that changes. And that's when, this envy and this, people call it haters or whatever, that's when that starts to develop, is the same people that rooted for you and wanted to, you thought were your supporters and people backing you, a lot of times turn into the people that have a problem with you and that are jealous in a sense or envious of where you've gotten, because at some point you surpassed where they were.
I really want to second the whole, like, finding people that are enthusiastic about your mission. Like, I know I look for people that are willing to learn. Not that you know everything. Like, it's nice. It's always nice to have people that have previous experience, but like willingness to learn is just so necessary. And some people aren't willing to learn.
Attitude. And I think that all stems from attitude. When we're interviewing somebody, that's one of the first questions is like, you have a good attitude. You have a consistently good attitude. Are you going to come in here in 2 days and be kicking a can and pissed at the world because, you got in a fight with your old lady or whatever? Are you, fucking bipolar? Can you keep a consistent attitude? And so many people can't. So many people come in and they're not teachable. They're not coachable because of a bad attitude. So I think that is absolutely number one point to building a good team, is having coachable, teachable people that you can train, that are just there open to learn something and, have a good attitude.
Right. And eventually you can learn to trust those people and put them in leadership positions. Because, like, I know I'm not near as much of a leader as you are. I just have a bunch of ideas, and it took so much effort between me and my co-founder to like build a team that could carry themselves.
And it's hard. It's hard no matter what you're trying to do. I think, building that team is the number one reason people can't scale up, is because if you can't build the team, you can only do so much by yourself. And any entrepreneur learns that real quick. I guess that's probably number one lesson, is you can't do it all. You can't wear all the hats. You can't work 20 hours a day. I mean, you can, but you're going to fuck yourself up. You're going to burn out, and you're more than likely going to do something critical to where you're trying to go.
Right. Well, and you can still only put 20 hours in, or 24 hours, right? Like,
exactly. And you're only two hands. Right. My grandma used to say, I only got two hands and one ass, was her famous saying, because everybody would be like, grandma, 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 and they expected her to help with everything. And and that's true. We all only have two hands and one ass, and there's only so much we can do as a singular person. But as a team, there's amazing things. We call it Egyptian style around here, and we still don't to this day have a forklift, and we would get things that they would deliver us, and we always order lift gates, but every once in a while they don't ship it with a lift gate. And my guys would stand there, 15 guys would stand there and look at me, how are we going to get this crate off the truck? And I tell them Egyptian style, and they all, the veterans are like, oh God, you know what I mean? Somebody's going to get hurt. But
well, I'm very familiar with Egyptian style, large groups of people and or stacks of objects and levers.
Yep. And so the mentality there is not, put your employees in unsafe positions where they can get themselves hurt. Never. But the mentality there is just, we look at entrepreneurship and the startup as of this business as if we can't do it, we do it. If one person can't do it, we do it Egyptian style. And a group of people can accomplish amazing things. They built the pyramids, well, depending on what you believe. But And that's where that concept comes from, is if same thing, if you're a good leader and you can lead a group of people, they can do and accomplish amazing tasks. We have an amazing team here. But like you said, none of my guys are scholars or have amazing degrees or anything like that. Handful of people here do. I don't want to discredit anybody, but most of them were taught here. You know what I mean? And most of them have used Pharmers as a way to learn and develop their skills and kind of create a career out of what they're doing. And we love them for that, and we appreciate them extremely much for that. But yeah, you don't need a group of rocket scientists to do something amazing.
Yeah. I want, like, you mentioned the haters. How do you deal with haters?
Usually just extremely blunt and not very professionally. I usually don't have a problem telling somebody to fuck off in one way or another. But I think at the end of the day, the best way to deal with people that are negative to your energy is to just not focus on them. No matter what you're doing, everybody's going to have something to say. If you're accomplishing little things or huge things, somebody's going to have something to say. Somebody's going to have some sort of negative energy to bring into the. And I think just blocking it out, kind of the onward and upward mentality, like, sticks and stones, you know what I mean? Kind of mentality right. Is, I think, just looking at the positive things, looking at, now if somebody's criticizing you, of course, maybe look at that criticism and see if there's any truth in it. Because that's the other painful thing about life, is looking in the mirror and realizing, like, oh, fuck, they might be right. You know what I mean? But past that, identify what's, constructive criticism and what's just jealous. And yeah, and tell them to fuck off. You know what I mean? Use the block function. You know what I mean? That's a great thing. Block them, kind of ignore and just block that energy. Cut ties. If somebody's got something negative to add to what you're trying to do, you probably don't need them there.
Right. Listen for the feedback, but at the end of the day, don't give them the energy.
Well, and so many companies become blind to the feedback, and they don't. They're no, I don't want to hear it. But feedback is extremely important. And a lot of times the consumers and your customers will tell you exactly what's wrong with your company. And if you don't listen and you kind of run by ego and think that, oh, I'm the shit, that eventually is going to catch up with you. So yeah, no, accepting constructive criticism is extremely important in any type of growth. If you want to grow as a person, listen to, what people say about you, what people identify, that are around you a lot. There's a lot of truth in criticism, and a lot of times we can change for the better as people, just by listening and identifying who, that type of criticism.
Amazing. Was there any part of the journey where you're like overwhelmed? You're like, I can't do this. I just want to quit. And what got you through that too?
100%. My wife got me through it. I think there was a point, my wife's a nurse by trade, and she worked, for the government. Actually, she was a nurse for the VA, a psych nurse, and she had an extremely stable job. And she would tell me, go try your entrepreneurial stuff, try your different companies. I had multiple different companies before Pharmers, and do your thing, and I'll keep the insurance and the stable income, because I have 3 kids. And I'll keep the family together. Just go. I know you're destined for greatness. I know you are meant to do more than granite countertops. Go, find your calling. And I think that allowed me to start the company. And then what saved me when I felt absolutely drowning, when I couldn't keep up, when I wasn't sleeping, when I was working 20 hours a day, was she left nursing. She left nursing and actually came to be, I guess, technically the chief of operations, the operations manager. And she helped me with all the stuff that was overwhelming me. The books, QuickBooks, collecting, collecting bills from people, organizing. I ran the company off of a whiteboard at one time. She put it into Google Sheets and made Excel sheets for everything. And now we have logs for everything under the sun, and the data we keep is impeccable. She brought that medical experience and the experience she had working for the government and for hospitals. She brought that to us as a laboratory, as a manufacturer, which saved us, in my opinion, which saved me from that drowning feeling. Every entrepreneur reaches the stage in their journey where they feel like they're drowning. They're wearing too many hats and they're doing too many things. And if you don't find the right people or the right help, or you don't delegate your responsibilities off of you, you burn out. Some
Right.
people die, literally have a heart attack, you know what I mean? Because the stress and everything gets so bad. And so, yeah, my wife saved me, and it came about 2 years into the company. I think we're at about 5 years. So yeah, it came about 2 years in. I told her, like, I can't do it. I'm drowning. I'm not sleeping. I'm falling asleep on the road. You name it. I'm fucking up. I'm letting orders lapse. People owe me
Well, yeah,
money.
you sound
I
like
can't.
a hero, like bringing that level of organization. Like,
Yes.
like it's especially as you grow, right? That's so necessary. You can't keep that together on a whiteboard by yourself.
And she is so much, they say opposites attract, but she's so much different than me. And, I'm a spaz. Like I said in the beginning, definitely have ADHD, but I'm all over the place, where, my desk is a pile of shit, where she is exact opposite of that. She's organized, she's structured. Her brain thinks much differently than mine does, in the yin and yang sense of where together we can accomplish so much more than either one of us can accomplish on our own.
It's amazing. So how do you define success?
That's a hard one. 'Cause I define success as being able to do what you want. And I think right now I'm doing what I want. And so I feel that I'm a successful person. Now, there's obviously tons of goals and admirations and dreams that I have to do much better and much more. But I believe initial success and basic success is being able to do what you want, being able to choose what time you wake up, being able to choose what you eat, being able to just choose what you do for a living. Yeah, it's a level of comfort that I think directly translates to success, in my opinion. Being able to be proud of yourself. I think that's another huge part of that, which comes with being able to do what you want.
That's amazing. Yeah, I always thought of it as like obviously there's like make a bunch of money, but we can't all make piles of money. Like Beacon Ranch is not a big Fortune 500 company, so I think of it as like I think a lot of people and companies forget, like, it's about surviving, right?
Correct.
Like, and obviously don't want to be like scraping the bottom, but like if you like try to go big and cash out, like you're much more likely to fall on your face than if you like go even, try to provide something good and quality and add value so that your company stays around.
Sustainability, I think, is extremely valuable. And a lot of guys can create a flash in a pan, but it takes, in my opinion, a lot of skill and hard work to create something that's sustainable, to create a company that lasts, that is able to scale up or do whatever, that is able to stay year after year. So no, congratulations on that. I think Beaker and Wrench has definitely done that. You guys have lasted, the kind of equipment wave that I'm sure you've seen. Yeah. And I think you guys are set up to last and to kind of weather the storm. And it's the same thing we talk about as a company right now in a extremely saturated market. Is the goal is to weather the storm. The goal is to have a sustainable business plan, to where in 5 years you're still going to be able to buy Pharmers on the shelf. You're still going to be able to buy a Beaker and Wrench wiper. That's the the sustainability I'm talking about. And that is, I think, directly linked to success. No matter how many, fancy cars you got, if the fucking company didn't work, how proud can you be of it? How successful can you feel? Eventually those cars will break and get old, so as a lot of rappers are realizing now that, had a flash in the pan song, one hit wonder, and then now they're trying to, do $1,500 concerts in El Paso and shit.
It's an amazing perspective. Thank you. So for you, like, how much of your success would you attribute to like luck versus hard work versus like some foresight in your head?
I don't believe in too much luck. I think we all have choices and opportunities in our life. And I think that that's really what determines the outcome. Is I think I was faced with different opportunities and I made the right choice. And then worked my ass off to fulfill those opportunities. Some might call opportunities as luck. So yeah, if you translate that to luck, cool. Whatever you believe in, blessings, whatever, but identifying opportunities and then making the right choice, and then putting in the hard work, I think is the key there. I think it's not just one thing, it's all of it. Is having the opportunities, being able to see it, identify it, taking the opportunity, making the right choice, and then working it to what it can be. It's to fruition.
I have to say, I completely agree with sort of like that interpretation where it's all of the things. Like there's an element of luck in that, like, the opportunities present themselves. Like, you have to have those. Some people never get that. And then you have to have the foresight to see that was an opportunity and that level of intelligence. And then if you don't put in the hard work, it becomes nothing.
Correct. No, 100%. And I think too many people are looking for one piece of the puzzle. Like, if I can only get lucky and win the lottery, I buy scratchers every week. If I get one, then what? Then what are you going to do with it? Let's say you come out with $1 million, which I'm sure anybody in business has realized by now that $1 million isn't shit. I used to think it was such, growing up as a poor kid, it's like $1 million. You're like, oh, it's this amazing thing, but it's not. You can only do so much. So let's say you get your lottery ticket and you win $1 million. Now, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to invest it? How are you going to make that $1 million last more than a year of partying it up? You know what I mean? Or
right,
whatever, a handful of nice shit, an average house and a handful of cars.
Yeah.
How are you going to pay the property taxes on that house? How are you going to, A through Z? How are you going to pay the electricity bill? If you don't take that opportunity of the lottery, of that lottery winnings, and you don't invest it right, and you don't start something that can produce more money, you ruin that opportunity. You ruin that luck. You piss it away, shit it away, whatever you want to say. So I think it's the same thing with any opportunity. If you don't act on the initial opportunity, you lose it.
Amazing. Before we wrap up, I have one off-tangent question. If I was at your facility offering like free consulting, what would you be asking me?
I don't know. That's a really good.
Well, you could say like, hey, you've been at this game even longer than I have. Like, I love asking you.
I love some of the educational stuff you're putting out. So I would probably want to take advantage of some of the knowledge technically about the equipment we use. I watched your video the other day, just Instagram shit about the vacuum pumps. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I understand vacuum pumps, but I don't know if my guys all truly understand it. They know how to do, cover their SOP here, but do they understand the difference in the pumps? Do they know there's a difference in the pumps? So I think, that level, you have a ton of knowledge mechanically and about the equipment that we use in this industry. So I would probably like to take advantage for myself and my crew, that type of consultation from you is, kind of a a Q&A on how these machines work and the benefits of using this technique next to this technique mechanically and equipment wise.
Amazing. Thank you for that endorsement.
No problem. No
It's been
problem.
great talking with you and having you on the mini cast. Will we see you at MJ BizCon this year?
Yeah, I'm a sucker. We always go out for the Good Life Gang meetup. So yeah, I'll be there.
Nice. And where can we find you on the internet?
So Distillate Don, I'm on Instagram as Distillate Don. My brands are also on Instagram as Pharmers Quality, Pharmers with a PH, Pharmers Quality, Nero Hash, and Real Underdog. And then we have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast myself. We do the Farm Table, which we'll have to work on getting you out here doing some. We don't do any of it live stream like this. We do it all in person. But yeah, it'd be pretty easy to set something up. So, anyways, Pharmers Quality on YouTube, and then pharmersquality.com for our website.
Amazing. And don't forget to check out Beaker and Wrench on Instagram at Beaker and Wrench. Check out our YouTube page for more episodes of the minicast. And thank you so much for your time. And that's a wrap.
Yes, thanks, Ace. I appreciate the invite.